Okay, so we're going to do another tutorial, and we've got a very respectful, wonderful request. Described everything that we need to know. Didn't get the width, but we're just going to make some assumptions. Um, and I've typed up my assessment of the design here, so you can pause the video and read that if you like. But here's our design. And first glance, I mean, it looks really high quality. I don't see any real problems with it, which is super nice and rare, actually. So the most difficult thing is that you've got to take this white background off and you've got these white bowling pins that are contact in the background. But it's also been designed or requested for a black shirt. And, the letters actually have black accents in them. So that's kind of a waste there. But overall, this should be pretty easy. And we're just going to tackle it. So let's get started. Now, before we do anything, we're just going to go ahead and add it to the spreadsheet. So you always just want to insert one row above. This is just for my team to note how we handle this stuff. Just want to insert it. I've got the link to the Facebook post. And, well, if that'll ever open, there it is. And then I have got the link to the Drive folder that I've made for Chad here. So let's get going. So I'm going to start by making my folder on my desktop that I'll eventually upload to the Drive. And I'm just going to put a new folder in here and call it Concept. And I'm going to download that image and put it in that folder. And I'm just going to rename the image since Facebook put this terrible name on it. Let's call it Spare Bears Concept. All right. And let's open it up with Upscale and just see what we can get. So we're going to go and open this up. I think, oh no, hold on. Isn't that funny? You can get tricked so easily. This is 225 by 225. Something that I've done, I think. Yeah, there we go. I needed to click on the image and download it. So we'll call that the Spare Bears Concept. So yeah, I just really almost screwed up there. So this is not 225 now, it's 1254. That's way better. Let's go back here and select that image and just see what we can get by just upscaling. All right, so we're going to go 5x, so that's 6270. And I'm just hoping that upscale actually kind of cleans up some of this text because I do see some parts of that text that I'm not real happy with. So let's just see. It usually does do a little bit at least. Yeah, it's better. It's a lot better. Okay, so that's going to fix this. So we shouldn't need to do anything more to that. We shouldn't need to run it back through AI or anything like that. And we're just going to open this up in Photoshop. And I'm just going to, first things first, duplicate this layer. And I'll convert this one to a smart object and just hide it. So that way it's just in the background there. If I ever mess up with any other parts of the image, I can always go back and get them. So let's start by trying to isolate these bears. This is the only part that I see that overlaps. So I'm just going to come in here and just deal with that little part right there. Let's just make that easy. Kind of got into that a little bit. So anyway, I'm just going to try to isolate these letters, this text. First things first. Kind of break it down because it's going to be, we can be more aggressive probably with that text than we can be with these bears as we try to pull that background off, especially with those bowling pins. That's really what I'm worried about. So we're just going to do the hard parts, where we need to be slow, and then zoom around and get the easy parts. Okay. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and paste it. Excuse me. And then I'll do my selection again. So I just control clicked that layer And I'm going to do Control-Shift-I to select the inverse and copy that and paste it. Oops, copy it from the original layer. Copy, paste. Okay, so now we're just going to take this and we'll do a solid color of white and put it behind. So now we can isolate this from this, and we can just be a little more aggressive, I think, with this text when we take this background off. So the white layer and sample all layers will allow, the magic wand to kind of just pass through all of those, the edge here. Without this, it might get hung up when you select and not just select right past that edge, and it might leave a little bit of junk there. And yeah, 80 seems to be zooming through this. It seems to be powering into those crevices. This is so easy because we upscaled and we've got such a large image to work with. We're just going to look at any kind of trouble spots. I don't see that being too much of a problem. It's supposed to be a messy letter. Let's grab that little guy here. And we'll leave those little discolorations. That's just part of it. I think we're getting pretty close right out of the gate here. There's a little bit of white that just bothers me. I think, we'll just leave that as streaks of color, We are going to expand. We're going to select, modify, expand. We're going to go 1 pixel. So it just digs into those crevices a little bit more. You lose a little bit of the artwork. But that's okay, because we just don't want to have any white glowy parts when we print. And we'll just hit delete. And now it has a transparent background. Now let's turn this onto black. And that's how we're going to be able to rate ourselves. So we're just going to control click this layer and maybe deal with some of those spots where there's some discoloration. So we're just going to grab our brush tool, select the layer. I've got a soft brush, and that's fine for this type of task. So we'll just paint out some of this inconsistency. And just clean up a little bit. I know I said I liked those, and now I'm seeing them, and I don't really like them. I think it just kind of look like maybe some of the background got left. So we'll just kind of take some of that out. Okay, so I got the original image all cleaned up, and I just wanted to give you a quick tour before I signed off here. So I've got you several options here. This one is the original. It's for darks. I put the light around it, so we have the stroke, which is just a look, and it's something that I think will help it pop off a black shirt. And then I've got this one that does not have the stroke, so that one's just named original, and it doesn't have the for darks. And then I did 2 halftone versions. So this is an example of the halftone. There's going to be little dots in the image, which bothers some people, but it makes an incredible soft shirt, as you can see here. So, to wrap this up, I'm just going to set this to 5 inches because I'm going to make a preview for you. So here's the image canvas size. I'm just going to do 100 and 100. And I'm going to put a solid color of black behind it so you can see how that works. See how that kind of, the black, there's your softness because there's hardly any ink, and then that's what it's going to look like on black. It is going to be darker. It's just going to be a really nice feel. And I'm just going to do a preview here. So this is what it looks like on black. And then we're just going to change this to white. And we're going to do image canvas size and anchor it over here, because this will really help illustrate, the amount of ink and what that would look like if you printed that and put that against white. It'd look terrible. So don't do that. But I just dragged that in and just kind of show you side by side so you can see what that's going to look like. So yeah, you got lots of options, and I'm going to put them all up in the folder. And since this is kind of new, or, maybe the first request you made. I'm just going to be a little more explanatory. So I'm going to take that whole folder and upload it here. And you're going to want to go on your laptop or your desktop. Hopefully you have those. If it's just a phone, it's a little harder, but it can be done. And there's a video that I put out on my YouTube channel about how to download it on a phone. It's really not that hard. It's just something that people struggle with. Don't screenshot these. You want to actually download the one you choose. If you're on a desktop and you hit this little eyeball, that's how you can read. So that's the Darks Original 4500px. So it's 15 inches, and you can make it any size you want it to be, up to 15 inches. Going past that would not be a good idea. And then, you said you wanted to do one for like 2XL, and then maybe one for like XL. I can't remember, but this one is 13 inches. So you could use that on a 2X or probably an XL. It'll be a nice big design. And then this one's 11 inches, and you could use that on pretty much any adult t-shirt will handle an 11-inch design. So if you don't want to worry about the sizing, you just grab that 11-inch and it should just fit for everything. All right, so there's all that. I'm going to post that back in the group and post this video and post you the link to this folder. All right, take care.